Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here. I'm bringing you another character ranking for Battleborn. In this character ranking, we're focusing on Deande. Now, Deande is one of my favorite characters in this game. She's very hard to play correctly, and she's got a lot of things going on with her. One thing that I will say right at the start here that doesn't get incorporated into this character ranking is if you want to play a good Deande, you need to master her quick melee, that's just when you're sprinting and you use her quick melee, you do a little kick that'll kick you way far in the air and you can get to a lot of real good spots. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at the ranking I give her. So first on her ranks, it's her composite rank, and I give her an 8 here. Now this 8, it's a very solid 8. It's not a low 8, it's not a high 8, it's a solid 8. The reason why she's an 8 is because she takes a lot of skill to play correctly, and she's not overpowered at all. She's about exactly what I hope for in most characters. If you play a team that has Deandes, the one thing you'll have to always watch out for is if you hear her ultimate, you got to get out of there, because if the team is coordinated and you get hit by that ultimate, chances are you're going to die. Generally speaking, it's hard to get that coordination going on, and most people really don't. But if they do have that coordination, you really got to watch out. But next one is her skill floor. I give her a 3 there, because when you first play Deande, you're going to get wrecked usually. That's the way it happened for me, and that's the way it is with most melee characters. You really got to play disciplined, and especially with Deande, you've got to learn when and where you can use that quick melee attack of hers to kick yourself out of situations and jump over the top of barriers and things like that. There's just a lot going on with her, as well as you got to learn when you can use your life steal to actually heal yourself back up, and when you need healed by a healer, different things like that. And her ultimate's a little bit hard to get used to. But so her skill floor is a little low, it's at 3, and her skill ceiling's at 8. So if you get to learn how to play her, usually it's not that hard to learn how to play her pretty well. To master her, it's very hard, but once you play her a little bit, you'll usually kind of figure it out. But when you start, you're not going to be all that great. The next thing is her healing and regen. So she's got like a 15% base life steal on both her primary and secondary attack, and you can increase that later on. Usually I increase it on her primary attack to give her 25% lifesteal, because that's just nuts. And then if you use that 25% lifesteal and attack a full minion wave, you can easily heal yourself back up to full health. The other thing is you can get a 50% lifesteal on her burst dash, and I always do the area of effect choice on her burst dash as the first choice, because then when you get the 50% lifesteal, you can literally heal yourself up back to full health from almost 0. So her healing and regen, I give her a 5. Obviously she's not a healer, so it's not going to get any higher, but in terms of just lifesteal, she's basically the best character in the game for lifesteal. Next is her attack. Now I give her a 9 on this attack, and a lot of people might think that's a little high, especially because most people think of Hollow Twin as just a way to use invisibility and get out of there. But always remember, your Hollow Twin, like, it attacks people, so it does good damage. Her Burst Dash is one of the best area of effect attacks in the game, and then Blink Storm is got to be one of the best ultimates in the game. And it's really interesting because Blink Storm is not overpowered. It's just, if you use it correctly, it can be devastating, especially if you have a team that's paying attention to you. So for her attack, I give her a full 9. Next is her toughness. Now her toughness, I give her a 5. Some people might think that's a little high if you think of someone like a boulder, because a boulder, I guess, would be basically a 10 toughness. But so you might think that a toughness for Deande at 5 is a little high, but remember, toughness is not just about how much damage you can take, but how mobile you are and how hard it is to kill you. So she can jump out of situations with her quick melee real easily, so that bumps up her toughness quite a bit. And then secondly, and you'll notice this if you're playing her, Deande's animation when she attacks, it makes her very hard to hit. So you're going to have a lot more trouble hitting Deande accurately with anyone who has a gun than other characters. So her toughness, I give her a full 5 on this one. And then next is her movement, and her movement I give her an 8, and that's basically all centered around her quick melee. That quick melee will allow you to jump to places basically nobody else can get. You can jump over basically everything that can be jumped over in the game with her quick melee. It's great. If you really want to master Deande, you got to master that. It's useful in a lot of situations, and a lot of people don't really utilize it. Next is her damage to Battleborn. That's enemy players, so she does pretty good damage to enemy players, but as a melee character, she doesn't do a huge amount. And so I only give her a 7 on this, but remember she's got you can use slow when you come out of Hollow Twin, and so that'll really help you do a lot of extra damage because it makes them easy to hit. So she does 7 damage to Battleborn, but it's a real solid 7. And then minion damage, I give her a full 9. A lot of this has to do with the fact that when you attack minions, generally speaking, you can heal just as much damage as the minions are going to do to you with her primary attack. So you can just keep attacking them forever. Her burst dash is great for minions. Her Hollow Twin is pretty decent for minions, and obviously you don't want to use Blink Storm on minions, but Deande, you really want to focus those minions. That's really what she's great at. Then below that is her primary attack. I only give her a 7 on her primary attack, and that's mainly because it's not a huge amount of damage per second, and it's a melee strike. It's pretty decent. Like I said, it's great against minions, but it's not the greatest attack in the game. It's nothing like a Benedict rocket or a Toby railgun shot. So she only gets a 7, but remember, it's a very useful 7. It's not like, because of her toughness and her movement, you can hit people real hard for extended periods of time and still get out of there. Whereas other characters who might have more damage per second, like say an Atticus is a lot easier to kill than a Deande, so you'll be able to attack people for a lot longer as Deande than you would an Atticus. So even though the primary attack isn't so high, it's still very useful, so don't let that rating confuse you. And then her secondary attack, she throws her war fans. I only give her a 5 on this because it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but the main reason it's a 5 is it's very inaccurate from long range, so it's sort of useful against tanks, but you're going to have a lot of trouble hitting Battleborn with it. I use it on minions sometimes, but again, it's not the greatest thing to use in the world. Below that is her burst dash. Now her burst dash is probably one of the best, if not the best, area of effect attacks in the game, especially once you put the 50% lifesteal on that. It's just absolutely great. So always remember, use that on minions. Don't use it on minions if they have an overshield. Wait till you take that overshield out. That's just because of the lifesteal factor, but that burst dash is great. And then below that is her Hollow Twin. The Hollow Twin does a lot of things. You set out a hologram that attacks enemies, so you do damage to people with it. It makes you invisible, so it's also used as an escape. And then when you come out of the Hollow Twin, you deal extra damage. And I always use the level up that puts a slow on people that you attack out of Hollow Twin, or once you come out of Hollow Twin. So there's a lot going on to Hollow Twin, and that's an 8. And then her ultimate is Blink Storm. Now Blink Storm is very interesting because she kind of sits in one area for a bit, and there's a little cone that goes out in front of her, and it shows you the area of effect that you will hit, and anyone in that cone gets hit. Most of the time you want to make sure to avoid all AI. You basically only want to hit Battleborn, and if you want to kill someone, you only want to hit one person, because then it'll do all the damage to one person. Otherwise it spreads out the damage to all the people that you hit. However, everyone that gets hit by Blink Storm gets stunned, and the stun is for like 2 or 3 seconds. It's a really long stun. So Blink Storm I give a full 9. I don't give it higher because its damage is preset. It doesn't matter. Like, getting more people in the area of effect doesn't deal more damage, but it is one of the best ultimates in the game. And as you can tell, if you look at these rankings here, what really sets Deande apart is her skills. So you have to learn to master her skills, when to use them and how to use them, if you want to learn how to master Deande. And then early game for Deande, she gets a lot of her real good stuff from her level ups, so I'm only giving her a 6. Once you hit about level 5, you'll really start to take off. That's where you really become a badass. So late game I have her as an 8. But again, like I said before, Deande she's not overpowered at all. She's really, like, if you're going to create a melee character that's good but not overpowered, Deande is the way to go. A lot of the other melee characters, they're either overpowered or underpowered, and it sort of irritates me, but Deande is exactly the way that Gearbox should try to create melee characters, or at least in terms of power. Obviously, each character has a bunch of different skills and attributes, but in terms of their effectiveness, Deande is about perfect. And then below her late game ranking is just the discipline. As with any melee character, her discipline's pretty high. I give her an 8 on this. And the main reason I give her an 8 is because, like I said before, the way you master Deande is by mastering when and where to use her skills, and also with that quick melee of hers. So there's a lot to sort of master with her, but once you get it, it's pretty straightforward, because you never use Burst Dash when you would use Hollow Twin. You never use Blink Storm when you would use Burst Dash. Slash. So each skill, once you master it, each scenario you will be in will call for only one of the skills. It won't be like, oh, should I use Hollow Twin or should I use Blink Storm? It'll be one or the other. But that being said, there is a lot to learn with Deande, so her discipline is up there at an 8. But like I said, Deande is one of my favorite characters to play. She's pretty well balanced and just a whole lot of fun.